You've been told a story. That anxiety is a malfunction, a chemical glitch, a mental illness. But what if that's a lie? What if anxiety isn't weakness, but unrealized strength? You feel restless, overwhelmed, on edge, not because you're broken, but because you're not aligned. Not empty, but unexpressed. The fire inside you has nowhere to go, so it burns you. Nietzsche wouldn't call this a disorder. He'd call it a signal, a violent cry from the soul, screaming, "You were meant for more than this." Most people try to silence anxiety. Pills, distraction, endless comfort. But the problem isn't the feeling. The problem is your life isn't built to contain your spirit. You are trained to shrink, to obey, to play nice. But the energy inside you isn't meant to be caged. It's not meant for safety. It's meant for creation, war, becoming dot. So no, you don't have anxiety. You have power with no outlet. You have will with no direction. You have potential screaming in a room too small for it. The world calls that a problem. Nietzsche would call it awakening. You weren't born anxious. You were born wild, full of instinct, curiosity, energy. Fire dot. Then the world taught you to sit still. Be quiet. Follow the rules. They called it discipline, education, normal. But what it really was domestication. Now, you live in a cage made of expectations. Get a job, pay your bills, be polite, stay busy. But the walls are invisible, so you blame yourself for feeling trapped. You think the anxiety comes from inside, but it doesn't. It comes from being forced to live a life too small for your spirit. Nietzsche said, the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. Anxiety is that struggle, the internal rebellion against the false self you are forced to wear. You feel anxious not because you're unstable, but because you're too alive for the dead routine you've accepted. This isn't a malfunction. This is the soul trying to break free. Imagine holding a weapon with nowhere to aim it, a storm with no direction. That's what anxiety is, raw energy without mission. The modern world gave you comfort, but stole your fight. It gave you safety, but robbed you of risk. So your power turns inward. It spins, spirals, shakes, and you call that anxiety. But what if you gave your power purpose? Nietzsche didn't want you calm. He wanted you clear, not numb, but directed. Your will, your aggression, your fire, they're not flaws. They're tools. But you've never been taught to wield them. You were told to be nice. 2. Stay balanced. To avoid conflict, avoid pain, avoid intensity. And now the intensity inside you has nowhere to go, so it crushes you. But the fire isn't the enemy. Your lack of aim is. Don't sedate it. Sharpen it. You don't need peace. You need direction. Most people float through life. They avoid challenge, fear discomfort, worship ease. But Nietzsche saw life as combat, and anxiety as the signal that you're meant for battle, not escape. Your body was designed for tension, your mind for strategy, your soul for struggle. But when you avoid the fight, your systems turn against you. You don't need another coping technique. You need a war worth waking up for. You feel anxious because your life lacks resistance. No enemies, no obstacles, no danger. And without resistance, power decays. Nietzsche called this the will to power. And when that will is denied, it doesn't disappear. It mutates into anxiety, apathy, addiction, self-hate. So if you feel anxious, good. It means there's power left. It means there's still something in you that refuses to die. Now you must train it, test it, unleash it. You weren't built to be calm. You were built to conquer. When you tell the world you're anxious, it offers you this. Take a pill. Get more rest. Breathe deeper. Avoid stress. But Nietzsche would laugh. Because what if your stress is the soul trying to awaken? Modern cures don't address the root. They silence the signal. They say, return to normal. But what if normal is the problem? This world wants you tame, distracted, comfortable, predictable, because a powerful man is dangerous. And nothing makes you more dangerous than facing your anxiety and realizing it's not sickness, it's potential. You don't need sedation. You need self-confrontation. You don't need to escape reality. You need to reshape it. Nietzsche didn't teach you how to cope. He taught you how to overcome dot. So stop asking how to feel better. Start asking what your anxiety is trying to show you. Anxiety is energy. Raw, unfiltered, electric. But energy without mastery becomes chaos. You're not fragile. You're untrained. The racing thoughts, the tight chest, the sense of urgency, those are signs of something alive inside you. A power that's been buried, not broken. You are not taught to channel that power. You are taught to suppress it, distract it, ignore it. Nietzsche believed in the concept of becoming, not healing, becoming, stronger, sharper, higher dot, and to become, you must first stop treating your power as a problem. What if the anxiety is telling you it's time to move, time to fight, time to create something terrifyingly real? Stop calling it illness. Start calling it invitation. An anxious mind doesn't need stillness. It needs motion, not numbing. Channeling. You don't calm a storm by watching it. You direct it. You ride it. Nietzsche walked for hours every day because movement unlocked his mind. He didn't meditate to quiet the thoughts. He moved to make them sharp. Your anxiety is telling you. Get up, move, act, fight, build. But you sit, and the energy attacks you from the inside. Stillness has its place, but not as escape. As recovery, not suppression. The modern world tells you to calm down. Nietzsche would tell you, use it. Turn the restlessness into rhythm, the shaking into sculpting, the flood into fire. Don't run from the current. Swim into it. You think anxiety means something is wrong. But what if it means you're on the edge of something right? Before every leap, fear. Before every transformation, resistance. Before every breakthrough, chaos. Nietzsche knew this. Growth isn't comfortable. Evolution isn't gentle. It requires rupture, collapse, pain. You feel anxious because your soul is trying to outgrow your current form. It's like shedding a skin. Tight, unfamiliar, raw. But instead of breaking through, you retreat. Back into patterns. Back into sedation. You don't need escape. You need to push through the discomfort until it becomes strength. Because anxiety isn't the end. It's the beginning of the next version of you. Stop resisting the feeling. Start rising with it. You weren't meant to be passive. You were born with instincts, with hunger, with teeth. But modern life taught you to smile instead of bite, to doubt your rage, to fear your drive. Anxiety is what happens when your primal force is denied expression. Nietzsche warned, a man who cannot command himself will be commanded. And you've been commanded long enough. Your fear, your urgency, your tension, they're not weaknesses. They're fuel, but only if you choose to command them. You must give your instincts a mission, your aggression a form, your wildness a path. You don't need to be more zen. You need to become more dangerous to the lies, to the cages, to the weakness inside. Because when you embrace your edge, the anxiety becomes weapon. Your mind is not separate from your body. And your anxiety is not just psychological. It's physical energy unreleased. Nietzsche trained his body relentlessly because he knew strength is not just mental. It's embodied. You sit all day. Breathe shallow. Think too much. Move too little. No wonder your mind feels like a prison. It's not being used, it's being stored. Lift something heavy. Run until you can't hear your thoughts. Push past physical limits, and the mind will follow. This isn't fitness. It's liberation. Anxiety is the body begging to move, to break, to sweat, to release the storm that's choking the mind. You don't need therapy right now. You need resistance. You need steel. Every time you feel anxious, you reach for distraction. Phone, food, noise, comfort. But the answer isn't numbing. It's building. Nietzsche didn't want you pacified. He wanted you transformed. What if every anxious spike was a call to create, to write, to build, to tear something down and start again? The soul doesn't want silence. It wants structure. It wants something to push against. It wants order strong enough to hold its chaos. Don't sedate the storm. Construct a vessel for it. Routine, discipline, focus, creation. This is how you earn your power, not by calming it, but by channeling it into something real. You say, I have anxiety, but do you? Or do you have an identity that feeds it? You tell yourself you're fragile. You believe you're sensitive. You've accepted the role of the anxious one. But Nietzsche taught, the greatest weight is to live a life. You believe you cannot change. You're not anxious. You're addicted to a story that makes you small. Every time you repeat it, you reinforce it. So stop narrating your weakness. Start creating your strength. Stop identifying with symptoms. Start building the self that transcends them. You are not your fear. You are what you do with it. You've tried to fit your energy into a life that can't contain it. No wonder you feel anxious. Your reality is too small for your spirit. You don't need to calm down. You need to build a life that excites you. Nietzsche didn't want you to adjust. He wanted you to revolt. Design routines that demand strength. Surround yourself with fire. Seek out intensity, clarity, confrontation. Don't adapt to a world that numbs you. Build one that calls you higher. This isn't about balance. It's about alignment. When your life matches your power, the anxiety dissolves. You've spent so long trying to heal, trying to fix, soothe, survive. But Nietzsche didn't preach healing. He preached becoming. You're not a problem to solve. You're a force waiting to unfold. The anxiety isn't the end. It's the beginning of your edge, your will, your awakening. Let others sedate their truth. You rise into it. Let others play safe. You burn. Because in the end, anxiety is not the enemy. It is the echo of your future self calling you forward. Don't silence it. Follow it. The world says you're overstimulated. Too much noise. Too much input. Too much speed. But what if the truth is worse? What if you're not overstimulated? You're underchallenged. Your mind was built for deep thought, high stakes, sharp focus. But you've been trained to multitask, scroll endlessly, chase dopamine. So your anxiety isn't a system overload. It's a scream of boredom from a soul starving for meaning. Nietzsche didn't thrive in peace. He thrived in struggle. In thinking? So hard it hurt. In walking until thoughts became weapons. You don't need to unplug. You need to engage with something that matters. Something worthy of your attention, your obsession, your will. You're not anxious because the world is too loud. You're anxious because you've never gone deep enough to drown the noise. You don't need quiet. You need a mission. Anxiety thrives in chaos, in lack of order, in mental clutter, in weak habits. You want to feel calm? Don't chase peace. Build discipline. Wake up early. Move with purpose. Eat with awareness. Make your room a temple. Your calendar a weapon. Your actions sacred. Nietzsche said, freedom is the will to be responsible to ourselves. That's not freedom from effort. It's freedom through mastery. Most people feel anxious because their life is sloppy, undirected, unstructured, flimsy. Discipline isn't punishment. It's containment for the fire inside you. Without it, your power burns everything. With it, you become unstoppable. Want to end anxiety? Stop negotiating with your feelings. Start obeying your highest self. That's how strength is built. And when strength rises, anxiety has nowhere left to hide. The version of you that you admire, he's not calm. He's commanding. He's not empty of fear. He's full of fire, and he's not waiting for the world to change. He's building himself through the pain you keep avoiding. Every time you numb out, back down, delay, you betray him. But he's still there, on the other side of discomfort, on the other side of action, on the other side of this exact moment you're in. Nietzsche didn't believe in fate. He believed in forging yourself through fire, so stop praying for relief. Start acting like the man your future depends on. Because the truth is this: you don't have anxiety. You have a future self knocking on the door, and your fear is the sound of him trying to break in. Let him in.